I can make this work, but you all need to know that you're some of the flashlights in with us. So.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Thank you. You're good for me, I'm fine, but appreciate it. No, thank you, sir. All right. Okay. Is everybody set? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Good evening. My name is Ted Veerman, Communications Director for the Florida Department of Corrections. Inmate James Ford was found guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder on March 8, 1999 for the April 6, 1997 murders of Greg and Kimberly Malnory in Charlotte County, Florida. Ford was also found guilty of sexual battery with a firearm and child abuse. The offender was sentenced to death for the Malnory murders on June 3, 1999 by the trial court. The sentence of the state of Florida v. James D. Ford was carried out at 6:19 p.m. on February 13, 2025. The execution took place without incident. We have a statement today prepared by Miranda Malnory, daughter of the victims, that I will share at this time. This is being read on behalf of Miranda. While I might not be here in person tonight, I would still like my voice to be heard. When this all started on April 6, 1997, I was an innocent toddler who had her whole life turned upside down. I lost my innocence just as our community had with the double murder of my parents. Living my whole life without them left me with a void that I had no idea would hurt so bad. I have lived my life longer without them than I ever did with them. As this chapter of my life is closed, I just want to say that while I never got to know my parents, they were with me during this whole process. While I would never wish any of this on my worst enemy, the mental and emotional toll that it takes on a person makes you stronger because it doesn't kill you. While I know this will never bring me back to my mom and dad, I will never get the chance to meet them, it is giving me peace of mind. I just want to thank everyone involved for the things that they have done in order to make this process happen. Now we have a statement being read by Deidre Parkinson, stepmother of Kim Malnory, who would like to provide a statement at this time.
Hello. This April it'll be 28 years since our kids were killed. I'm speaking on behalf of the Parkinson side, Kimberly's paternal side, her father, her sister Samantha, her brother Steve. My name is Deidre Parkinson. I met Kimberly when she was 5 years old and I was 20. It was in 1976. She was bubbly, sweet, giggly, nervous, loving. I used to love to make her laugh so hard we couldn't even breathe. She was a 5th generation Floridian and she loved her old Florida heritage. We have a recording of her requesting a song on the radio after her grandfather Parkinson had passed. The song was Grandpa Tell Me About the Good Old Days. Her dedication was to Tommy Parkinson. We love you and miss you a lot. The Parkinson blue eyes came from him through Sam and to Kimberly. The thing I miss most about Kimberly is she was the mediator of the family. Things would get disagreements, misunderstandings. She could unravel it all and piece it back together, and next thing you know, everything was fine. She could reach a depth in her father communication-wise that no one else has. She wasn't able to see her beloved Miranda raised. She never got to meet my son's wife Leah and never got to play with her adorable nephews Max and Nigel. She would have been their favorite person on the planet. We miss her every day. In October of '96, we gave them a Smoky Mountain wedding in Gatlinburg. We went up in a van and laughed and laughed and laughed. April 5th, 1997, I called Kim to ask her if she could come over to see the little child bed I got for Miranda. No, we are going fishing tomorrow where Greg works, and then to his mom's after for dinner. Last words I heard from her, love you too. April 6th, 1997, Greg got permission to fish on the sod farm where he and the murderer worked. It was Kim's first time to use her new fishing rod she got for Christmas. James Ford showed up at their house that morning, was not invited, imposed himself on them. and convinced them that he could show them the best places to fish on the farm as he knew it well, and maybe they could kill a hog to roast. Greg had worked there approximately 6 weeks. They drove separate trucks out there. Ford did not have permission from the owners to go to the sod farm that day like they did. At a very remote area on that 5,000-acre sod farm, there was a pond. Ken was sitting on the tailgate holding Miranda and holding her new fishing pole. Greg was down here taking a picture, and then Ford, a few yards behind the truck, shot Greg in the head and then started his horrific acts on both of them in front of Miranda. She fought like hell. Her bloody handprints were on Miranda's little shorts when they got her out of the car seat that she had strapped her in, which probably saved her life. This happened between 3 and 4, they think, as they saw Ford leaving the sod farm around 5. Miranda left alone in the truck with her 2 dead parents on the ground not too far away, their pit bull Roscoe by their side, till the next day the sod farm employees found her. Stress of this nature causes mental and physical deterioration in the human body, as everybody knows. My husband, Sam, Kimberly's father, Vietnam vet, Agent Orange victim, started having Vietnam nightmares several nights in a row after this. He had a silent heart attack around the time of the murders we didn't know about until he had a 6-way bypass surgery a few years later, and the doctor said it looked like he had a black spot on the bottom of the heart and probably had a heart attack about 7 years ago. I told the doctor about the murders, and he said that would have done it. Our lives have not been the same. Sam couldn't go, but I went to every hearing, jury, as well as Connie, jury selection, court appearance, trial, and sentencing, as I'm sure many people in our shoes that have gone through this have. I told them to keep it together, my family. Sometimes it's 1 minute at a time, and sometimes it's 1 second at a time. Everybody suffers in their own way inside. Our family and friends have all been shocked by all this. We met Governor Jeb Bush in January of 2000 to try and expedite the time limits on the death penalty. It was a bill that had 2 parts. They sent the death penalty expedition back to the drawing board, and they took away the electric chair. I was quoted as saying that it was such a relief, but justice is such a relief, but you don't have justice as long as he's alive. Well, we have justice and relief now, even though it was a very peaceful death for him. Our thanks to all of the Attorney General's office. We've had nothing but wonderful support from them. We thank Governor DeSantis for signing the death warrant. Sam and I are both comfortable knowing that he will never, ever be able to murder anyone again. Thank you.
Well, would you give us your name and spell it for us, please?
My name is Deidre, D-E-I-D-R-E, Parkinson, P-A-R-K-I-N-S-O-N.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we are going to be hearing from Miss Connie Ankney, mother to Greg Malnory. Thank you, Miss.
Thank you. I don't have a speech prepared. I'm only going to talk from my heart. This is the day of final justice for Greg and Kim. Maybe now our family can grieve the loss of them, because we have fought for 27 years to get here, and we didn't have time to take care of ourselves in the grieving process. So it's hard to see what he did, beating Greg with an axe and shooting him and slitting his throat like with a hog, and Kimberly raping her and stabbing her and just leaving Miranda there. You know, a shot in the arm. How dare you? But we do thank everyone for all of the support all of these years. It's been hard having to read all of the things every day in the paper of the brutal killings, but maybe this will be something that going forward other families don't have to go through. You know, there's no sense in the system taking 27 years with all of the DNA that is out there and all these prosecutors that are doing their job and investigators. There's no sense in sitting there. God forbid, if it hadn't been for the Lord Jesus Christ, I wouldn't be here. He's the only one that saved me between my family, my husband. You know, Gregory never got to meet his nephew, Mason. Mason now has a baby, and Mason looks a lot like Greg when he was younger. You know, Greg would love to go out fishing and being one of them good old boys, but just having fun and, you know, going to mud ponds and just having cookouts in his backyard with his friends. I mean, his friends have never forgotten us in all of this. They've always been by our side, whether physical or mental. You know, I mean, I started Parents of Murdered Children in Charlotte County because there was nothing there for me. I had no advocates, I had nothing, and didn't know what to do. There is no book written for what to do with a mother of a murdered child. You know, I looked and I looked and I looked, and I read books, and the internet was new, and I scoured that and found Parents of Murdered Children in Cincinnati, Ohio. And between them, my family, my pastor, and the love of God, I survived. I got to see the day that my son's murderer got to go to sleep. So I hope he burns in hell. But again, I want to thank everybody for your patience, your kindness, the Attorney General's office, the Governor's office. Everyone has been wonderful to us. I just can't thank them enough. And I hope nobody here ever has to go through that.
Would you spell your first and last name for us, please?
CONNIE ANKNEY.
And enunciate it for me on radio.
Connie Ankney.
Thank you. Ma'am, Peter Bush, we spoke up earlier
Yes.
today. Would you mind if I asked you a question about him not having a last statement? What did you think of that?
I thought he was gutless, like he always was. He took the coward's way out. You know, you should have got the electric chair. I would have liked to have seen you burn, but you got it easy. I don't think he will ever survive. You know, it just boggles my mind. It's so easy to get a shot and go to sleep.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate you doing this. Again, thank you both for your statements. And thank you all for joining us tonight. We hope that you take these testimonies and you reiterate them in your stories. If you all have any questions, just hold on a sec. I'd just like to dismiss the victims and the victim's family. You all don't have to stay up here for this part, but if you have any questions, you all can direct them towards me. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
The one that the one from Miranda. Yes, we can pass. We're going to pass that out. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I have a question when you're ready.
Yeah, I think we're all right.
Okay. Just want to clarify what we saw in the execution. with the execution.
Of course.
It appeared that the gentleman who was standing next to Mr. Ford
Hmm.
asked him if he had any last words. We couldn't hear very well, so I just want to make sure that that's what happened, and then he kind of shook his head no.
That is correct. He shook his head no. However, we have a written statement for his last words that we will deliver after this.
Okay. And then the first injection he got was anesthesia that knocked him out, and then the lethal injection took place after that.
It should be in the packets that we gave out earlier. However, it is an anesthetic, then a paralytic, and then, yeah.
So what's all the time in between? We were waiting there for about 20 minutes or so, and he's sitting there and he says his name, Ford. What's the process of that? Why is he doing that?
That is just standard operating procedure. That's just the process that we have to ensure that it's going smoothly, and it was. Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Thank you all for your
Statement.
we'll be handing it out to you in a second. Thank you. All right. Thank you all. Appreciate it. We're going to leave those printed statements right here. There's enough for everyone. You'll just take one.